They are watching you, not out of admiration, but because they are measuring you, mapping you, looking for the tiniest opening they can exploit. Manipulators don't care about strength. They care about weakness, hesitation, uncertainty. They want to see cracks in your armor, the briefest pause in your confidence, or guilt flickering across your eyes, and the moment they detect it, they move in. Life doesn't hand out fair fights. It doesn't reward honesty or kindness with immunity. What it rewards is awareness, presence, and the ability to navigate the quiet wars that play out behind smiles, compliments, and gestures meant to seem harmless but are loaded with intent. You were raised to be open, honest, and kind. Manipulators take those lessons and turn them into weapons. Your kindness becomes a tool to manipulate, your honesty a trap to exploit, your openness a stage for them to dig through, pick apart, and use against you. If you continue to play the role of the good person in a world filled with predators, you will keep being consumed, little by little, until there's nothing left. Machiavelli understood this. He wrote, "One who wishes to act entirely up to his profession of virtue soon meets with what destroys him." In other words, acting purely on idealistic principles, while admirable, will destroy you when confronted by people who operate on strategy and self-interest. Survival requires understanding the rules of the game. Mastery requires learning to manipulate the game better than anyone else. This is not a lecture. This is a manual, a guide to psychological strategy. From this moment, you do not react, you calculate. You do not justify, you observe. You do not prove. Power does not beg. It exists quietly, consistently, and with precision. The first tool in your arsenal is the mirror tactic. Manipulators live in a world where they think they are always in control, always ahead, always smarter. They rely on the illusion that they are composed and that you are the one who must respond. The mirror tactic flips the game. When they try to provoke, confuse, or manipulate you, you reflect their actions back with calm detachment. If they speak in riddles or ambiguity, answer with silence. If they ask a question designed to corner you, return the same question. If they offer false kindness to bait an emotional response, match it coldly and calmly, but never engage in deeper emotion. You are giving them nothing to work with while forcing them to confront themselves. Manipulation thrives on asymmetry. They act, you react. Remove the reaction and the advantage shifts. In practical terms, this looks like a steady gaze when someone tries to provoke anger, a neutral phrase in response to a challenge, a calm acknowledgement when someone digs for your weaknesses. By mirroring rather than reacting, you make them face their own behavior, and most people cannot withstand that reflection for long. The more they push, the more you become a mirror. Every attempt to bend or manipulate you becomes an exposure of their methods, not yours. Moving from reflection to control, the next weapon is the emotion shield. Manipulators' greatest leverage comes from your emotional response. They poke, prod, and bait subtly with digs, fake compliments, and passive aggression. They do not need overt control, they only need your reaction. A flinch, an over-explanation, a defensive word, and you step into the cage they have built for you. The key is to remove emotion entirely. You must become a vacuum, cold, silent, unreadable. When someone tries to provoke, you give nothing. Anger, confusion, pleasure, none of it. Let your eyes hold stillness. Let your posture remain unshaken. Let your presence communicate unshakable calm. When a manipulator makes a joke at your expense, do not laugh, do not correct, do not engage. Let silence expand. Let them feel the failure of their strategy without needing to raise a hand or a voice. This does not mean numbness or indifference to life. It means command. Public emotion is data. Data in the wrong hands can be used against you. You retain everything in private, and in public, you remain a still, impenetrable force. Motion is not your enemy, reaction is. The third tactic is strategic delay. Manipulators thrive on urgency. They pressure you to answer immediately, to react quickly, to move before thinking. They understand that speed diminishes clarity and increases mistakes. Your power comes from refusing their tempo. Delay your response, let them wait, let the silence fill the space. Pause, consider, observe. The longer they wait, the more desperation leaks through their controlled exterior. In a simple example, someone messages you demanding an answer immediately. Most people rush to comply, afraid of upsetting the balance. You do not. You let hours pass. You create psychological distance. You give them the first taste of what it feels like to lose control. They double, text, they hedge, they reveal the cracks in their own confidence. That is the advantage strategic delay grants you. It forces them to reveal intent, to expose patterns, to make mistakes in plain view. In person, the same applies. When confronted, pause. Let silence do the work. Their discomfort with stillness often leads them to fill it with their own fears and doubts. They no longer direct the game. You do. Machiavelli did not believe in reacting. He believed in striking strategically. Time becomes your weapon. Patience becomes your leverage. The next tool is reward reversal. Manipulators bait with two levers, praise and guilt. One appeals to your ego, the other to your sense of duty. Respond, and you are under control. Reverse the dynamic. Do not chase validation. Make them chase yours. Deny them the emotional response they seek. Flattery is met with indifference. Guilt is met with calm, unemotional refusal. Do not explain, do not justify, do not argue. Your control of validation shifts the power entirely. For example, if a coworker takes credit for your work, expecting outrage or embarrassment, you do neither. Instead, you compliment someone else, redirecting attention and leaving the manipulator without leverage. You do not need their approval, you are the source of it. Reward reversal changes the structure of every interaction. It turns dependency on its head. Ambiguity armor is next. Predictability makes you a target. Ambiguity makes you dangerous. Manipulators map patterns, seek clarity, hunt for certainty. Give them none. Do not reveal intentions, do not over-explain, do not provide coordinates. Speak in measured phrases, leave gaps, maintain strategic silence. Respond with intentional vagueness. I'm still considering. It depends on how this develops. I'm processing. Your presence, language, and actions become opaque. They cannot calculate your next move, and when they cannot calculate, they cannot control. Body language matters too. Minimal gestures, measured reactions, careful stillness. Let them wonder about your thoughts, your intentions, your emotions. You are not indecisive, you are untouchable. Every pause, every omission, every silence adds to your power. Ambiguity forces them to reveal themselves, not the other way around. Mystery breeds leverage. People will expose their fears and desires trying to understand you. In relationships, in workplaces, in negotiations, this principle is invaluable. When you withhold complete clarity, you retain control. You are a psychological shadow, present yet unreadable. The exit threat is a decisive tactic. The moment a manipulator believes you can leave, and that you might actually do it, they lose power. Most people argue, justify, plead, and cling, extending the manipulator's control. You stop all of that. Detachment becomes your tool. Quietly project the possibility of departure without drama. You do not scream, you do not announce. You simply exist in a state where leaving is always an option. This makes you untouchable. Emotional, social, or financial dependence fuels manipulator control. Remove that dependence. Build escape routes, cultivate independence, control your presence. Whether it is a toxic relationship or a workplace dynamic, your ability to disengage instantly makes you the one holding the power. Silence, absence, and independence turn the tables. It is not ghosting, it is authority. It is not coldness without reason, it is calculated presence. Playing dumb is another powerful tactic. Sometimes the most effective move is pretending not to see what is happening. Manipulators expect reactions. They thrive on responses. By giving nothing, no defense, no emotion, no explanation, you dismantle them silently. They throw challenges, tests, or insults. You smile faintly, observe, and calculate. Let them believe they are winning, while you quietly prepare your next move. True control is patience, strategic inaction, and waiting for the perfect moment. The real victory is never proving them wrong in the moment, but proving that they never had control at all. By now, you have crossed into a mindset few reach, the unreadable mindset. You no longer explain your silence. You no longer justify your absence. You walk into spaces without seeking acceptance. You dictate the tempo, the emotional energy, and the focus of any interaction. Manipulative games dissolve when met with indifference, detachment, and precision. You are untouchable. You are unreadable, and to a manipulator, that is terrifying. From this point forward, every interaction becomes a test of control. Every conversation, every glance, every word spoken carries the potential to either reinforce your power or give it away. You are no longer the reactive participant. You are the silent strategist. The manipulator's usual tools, flattery, guilt, intimidation, lose their effect because they rely on a predictable reaction, and you are no longer predictable. They cannot gauge you, and that uncertainty is the most destabilizing force you can present. You do not need to prove yourself. You do not need to justify choices or clarify intentions. You exist fully within your boundaries and make no concessions to those who aim to pierce them. When someone tries to provoke, the response is stillness. When they attempt to guilt or shame, the response is neutrality. When they flaunt false intimacy or emotional manipulation, the response is ambiguity. And when they push urgency, the response is delay. Silence, calm, detachment, and patience are not weaknesses. They are strategic weapons. You begin to see the subtle rhythms of manipulation, the micro-expressions, the slight changes in tone, the calculated pauses, the way they try to bait, test, and measure you. Every action is a signal, and once you recognize the signals, you no longer operate under their rules. You establish your own. You create your own frame, your own pace, and your own energy, and you demand that the world conform to it. The exit threat evolves into something even more powerful when paired with strategic timing and patience. You do not threaten or announce your departure. You simply make choices that demonstrate independence. You prioritize yourself, your time, and your emotional energy. You withdraw presence when it is expected, and you return only when it serves you. This creates a psychological reality in which the manipulator cannot rely on their usual levers. They cannot predict your availability, your emotional responses, or your willingness to comply. And as unpredictability grows, so does your authority. Independence is not a demonstration of pride. It is an unspoken assertion of power. Reward reversal continues to compound your influence. Every attempt to manipulate with praise, guilt, or obligation is met with calm indifference. You neither accept nor reject overtures immediately. You redirect attention, withhold emotional confirmation, or shift the interaction toward neutrality. By controlling validation, you control the game. Every compliment, every attempt at guilt, every plea for approval becomes a reflection of their own tactics, not a vehicle to manipulate you. When practiced consistently, this shifts the balance of power. The manipulator is forced into a defensive position, operating without leverage, unable to predict, unable to coerce. Ambiguity armor grows in strength the more it is exercised. Your language, your choices, your movements, all become tools to maintain ungraspable presence. You stop explaining your actions. You stop offering context. You stop responding in ways that make your behavior predictable. By withholding full clarity, you prevent the manipulator from mapping your intentions or constructing a strategy against you. You are no longer a chessboard with exposed pieces. You are fog, ever shifting, impossible to pin down. The more they press, the more they reveal themselves. They become the ones exposed, not you. They chase answers you are under no obligation to provide. Every attempt to probe your mind, your feelings, or your intentions is met with a calm pause or a measured, vague response. The more they try, the more they fail. This controlled ambiguity turns your presence into a weapon, one that generates leverage without confrontation. Playing dumb, as a tactic, reaches its full potential when paired with patience and observation. Pretending not to see the traps, the provocations, or the manipulative attempts does not mean ignorance. It means discipline. You observe, you record, you calculate, and you allow the manipulator to act freely within the bounds you set. They believe they are in control, yet every move they make is logged, analyzed, and anticipated. And at the moment that matters, when the stakes are high or when the outcome is significant, you reveal the game you have already mastered. By waiting until the optimal moment, you maximize leverage, minimize risk, and maintain full control. The real victory is in never having allowed them to hold control in the first place. Psychological dominance in this framework is subtle but absolute. You are untouchable because you are not reactive. You are unreadable because you are not predictable. You are independent because you no longer operate from need or fear of approval. In every setting, personal, professional, or social, the manipulator is forced to adapt to your rhythm rather than impose their own. They become the reactive party, trying to pass your intentions, interpret your pauses, and predict your next move. And they will fail because you have eliminated the data they rely upon. Silence, stillness, detachment, ambiguity, strategic delay, and calculated observation all combine to create a presence that is unassailable. Every interaction now becomes a demonstration of your authority. In meetings, you do not overreact to criticism or manipulative claims. You observe, you assess, you decide. You do not offer immediate rebuttal or justification. You allow space for truth to surface while remaining firmly in control. In relationships, emotional manipulation loses power when met with calm neutrality, emotional independence, and the quiet threat of departure. In everyday encounters, small provocations, micro manipulations, and social tests are neutralized because you do not provide the emotional fuel that manipulators require. Every time someone expects a reaction and you give none, you reinforce your dominance. The most important principle underlying all of these tactics is that control of self equals control of the game. Emotional discipline, strategic inaction, independence, and patience are not just defensive tools, they are offensive ones. By mastering your own behavior, you become untouchable to others' attempts to dictate your emotions, thoughts, or decisions. You are not governed by external pressure or social expectation. You are guided by internal calculation, presence, and clarity. Every interaction becomes a reflection of your strategy, every pause a demonstration of control, and every measured response a declaration of authority. Detachment does not mean disengagement from life. It does not mean ignoring responsibilities or isolating oneself from human connection. It means engaging on your own terms, with full awareness of power dynamics and intent. It means maintaining autonomy over your attention, your emotions, and your time. By projecting the exit threat, not as a threat, but as a natural reality, you dismantle the manipulator's leverage. The silent confidence that you can walk away at any moment without fear of consequence is a weapon more potent than any confrontation. In practice, this looks like carefully controlled availability. You respond when it serves your strategy, not when it serves someone else's agenda. You maintain emotional neutrality when confronted with pressure or criticism. You allow strategic delay to disrupt manipulative rhythms. You employ ambiguity to conceal your intentions and protect your leverage. You use reward reversal to make those who seek to control you chase validation instead of receiving it. You play dumb when necessary to mask your awareness and preserve strategic advantage. And above all, you never allow fear, guilt, or obligation to dictate your actions. This is not about cruelty or vengeance. It is about mastery, control, and self-preservation. Every manipulative interaction you encounter is an opportunity to refine your skills, extend your influence, and establish boundaries that cannot be crossed. By embodying unreadable calm, disciplined observation, and quiet authority, you not only defend yourself, but also create a presence that demands respect. People learn quickly that they cannot manipulate, guilt, or coerce you, and that realization alone often deters future attempts. Your life becomes a reflection of strategy, foresight, and selective engagement. In this mindset, relationships, work environments, and social interactions transform. You no longer chase approval. You no longer react to provocation. You no longer allow emotional hooks to dictate your behavior. Instead, you operate from a position of unshakable authority, choosing when and how to respond. Every choice reinforces your presence, your independence, and your control. The manipulator is forced into a reactive posture, trying to interpret a person who refuses to be predictable, who refuses to supply emotional data, and who operates entirely on their own terms. Mastery of this psychological framework is not instantaneous. It requires observation, discipline, and practice. You must learn to identify patterns of manipulation, understand the levers of influence, and control your own internal responses. You must resist the instinct to justify, defend, or explain. You must train yourself to remain calm when provoked, patient when pressured, and ambiguous when clarity is demanded. Over time, these habits compound, creating a presence that is unassailable, a mind that cannot be trapped, and a life in which you are the author of your own rules. By combining the mirror technique, emotion vacuum, strategic delay, reward reversal, ambiguity armor, playing dumb, and the exit threat, you build a psychological toolkit that allows you to navigate even the most manipulative environments. Each tactic reinforces the others, creating layers of protection and authority. Manipulators cannot predict your responses, cannot control your emotions, cannot exploit your behavior, and ultimately cannot dominate you. You are untouchable because you have refused to participate in the rules they rely upon. This is mastery. This is power. This is the mindset of someone who is no longer played, no longer baited, no longer exposed. You walk into rooms with confidence, knowing that your presence alone sets the terms of engagement. You operate from clarity, discipline, and calculated intent. Every manipulative attempt is observed. Every emotional bait is neutralized. Every effort to control is redirected. You are a psychological force, present yet unreadable, powerful yet detached. And in this detachment lies your authority. In the final analysis, true mastery is not about controlling others. It is about controlling yourself. By doing so, you make manipulation irrelevant. By maintaining independence, ambiguity, patience, and calm authority, you ensure that no one can dictate your experience or exploit your responses. The world becomes a space where you decide the rules, set the boundaries, and operate on your own terms. Manipulators are left exposed, reactive, and ineffective. You are untouchable. You are unreadable. You are the authority. And that is the most terrifying realization for anyone who ever tried to control you. From this moment forward, every interaction is a choice. Every reaction, or lack thereof, is intentional. You have crossed into a space of psychological clarity few ever reach. You are no longer available to be played. You are no longer compelled to justify or explain. You are no longer a source of emotional supply for those who feed on it. You have become the observer, the strategist, and the quiet authority in every room you enter. The manipulator's games collapse in your presence because the rules no longer exist for you. You have built mastery through stillness, patience, and precise calculation. You have walked into the arena not as prey, but as a strategist who sets the terms. And the world responds to presence, not chaos.